My name is Douglas Elliott. I'm a partner in the law firm of Roy Elliott O'Connor in Toronto, and I have been a very active Charter of Rights lawyer. As this litigation was going on, it was both influencing public opinion and being influenced by public opinion. We were choosing cases that we thought had a better chance of being well received by the public, and we were trying to nudge along public opinion. When we started out, I think most Canadians probably would have said that a gay or lesbian person shouldn't lose their job or be denied an apartment because they were gay or lesbian, but they would have had a problem with same-sex relationships being put on the same footing as opposite-sex relationships at all. Over time, that attitude changed, and you saw support for the lesbian and gay community continue to rise all across the country, but particularly amongst younger people, well-educated people, and people living in cities. It grew and grew and grew. And eventually, you saw the next shift in public opinion, which was a recognition that just as society had extended recognition to non-traditional straight couples, that by extending benefit recognition, for example, to common law heterosexual couples, that we ought to recognize same-sex couples as a non-traditional couple. But there was still resistance in public opinion to marriage. That was kind of the last public relations barrier that we had to overcome. I met many people who said, I'm okay with gay people and with gay relationships, but can't you leave marriage alone? We like, husband and wife, it's tradition, it's part of our religious concept of relationship recognition. You've gotten so much already, can't you just leave marriage alone? And it took some effort to overcome that and to get the Canadian people to accept the concept of same-sex marriage. One of the most important, the single most important thing that changed that was the marriage that took place at the Metropolitan Community Church of Toronto on January 14th, 2001. As part of our same-sex marriage strategy, we thought it was very important that people actually see a same-sex couple get married, and to see that it was possible and that there was nothing wrong with it. So I was able to figure out, with the assistance of Professor Kathy Leahy of Queen's University, that the Metropolitan Community Church could publish the banns of marriage, could marry a couple, and then put the onus on the government to object to the validity of this marriage. That's what we did. The government did send us a letter saying, please don't do this, it's against the law. And we sent a polite letter back to them saying, if you don't like it, try and stop us. But they didn't try and stop us. Pollsters told us that as a result of the publicity around that marriage, support tipped from being the majority against same-sex marriage to the majority in favor of same-sex marriage. Not by a lot, but it moved public opinion enough that people in the Canadian public were prepared to support same-sex marriage, a large group of people in the Canadian public. So that was tremendously important. It was important in part because the way this Charter of Rights is set up, we have the notwithstanding clause. We must never forget that for all of these victories, every time we started a case, we knew even if we won in court, we could lose in Parliament. That the Ontario legislature or the Alberta legislature, depending on where the provincial law was, or the federal Parliament, could overrule the courts and take away whatever we had won. That was a fear we had. If I'm fair, I would say we had that fear with every single case that we brought. But as we were more and more successful, I think the fear was actually greater. Even though we had the experience of getting away with it, if you will, that we didn't actually have that happen, we knew there were greater stakes involved, particularly on marriage. we were really worried that if we won, that Parliament would use the notwithstanding clause against us.